The Roman Senate didn't assassinate Julius Caesar because he was a tyrant. They murdered him because he was competent enough to fix the empire, and his success made their mediocrity unforgivable. Now, hold that thought for a moment. Think about the last time you had a genuinely original insight at work. The room didn't erupt in applause, did it? It went quiet. A silence so thick you could feel it pressing against your skin. And within weeks, you noticed the subtle shift. Emails you weren't CC'd on, lunches you weren't invited to, the slow fade of people who once called themselves your friends. We have a name for this. We call it politics, jealousy, bad luck. But what if those are just gentle labels we stick onto a process far more ancient and ruthless? What if being intelligent, truly seeing the world as it is, doesn't just make you a target occasionally, it makes you a biological threat? This isn't about arrogance, it's about neurology, it's about philosophy, and it's about a truth so uncomfortable that most people will spend their entire lives pretending it isn't real. To understand why your clarity triggers their panic, you have to go back to a philosopher who stared into this darkness long before brain scans could prove him right, Arthur Schopenhauer. He didn't believe smart people were socially clumsy. He believed something far more unsettling. He argued that human society operates like an immune system. Its job isn't to find truth, its job is to maintain stability. And when a mind shows up that can see through the comfortable lies holding the group together, that mind isn't welcomed, it's identified, it's tagged, and then, slowly or suddenly, it's expelled. Now why? Why would a species that depends on innovation to survive instinctively punish the very individuals who can provide it? Schopenhauer pointed to what he called the will, not your conscious goals or ambitions, something deeper, a blind, endless drive that pulses beneath every human action. It's the force that makes you want to eat when you're hungry, seek safety when you're scared, and, most importantly, conform when you're in a group. The will doesn't care about truth, it cares about survival. And for 99% of human history, survival meant fitting in. The tribe that ejected its weird thinkers survived the winter. The tribe that listened to them starved. That instinct is still in your bones. It's in their bones. So, when you walk into a room and refuse to perform the scripts, when you don't laugh at the bad joke, when you question the flawed strategy, when your eyes show that you see the gap between what people say and what they mean, you aren't just being rude, you are activating an ancient alarm. The collective unconscious senses a deviation, and its first response is always the same: isolate the variable. But here is where it gets personal. It's not just about ideas, it's about pain. A 2003 UCLA study by Eisenberger and Lieberman put people in a brain scanner and had them experience social exclusion. The same regions that lit up when they were physically hurt, the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, lit up when they were ignored. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a broken bone and a broken heart. So when your presence makes someone feel intellectually small, you are, in a very literal sense, causing them pain. And people do not thank you for pain. They build walls against it, or they attack its source. Clarity is a mirror, and mirrors are rarely thanked for showing the truth. This isn't new. History is a graveyard of people who were right too soon. Hypatia of Alexandria, one of the greatest thinkers of the ancient world, was literally torn apart by a mob, not because her science was wrong, but because her authority threatened a political order that needed people to stay uneducated. Giordano Bruno was burned at the stake in 1600, not for his faith, but for his ideas, that the stars were other suns, that the universe was infinite. The church didn't debate him, they silenced him. They didn't fear his errors, they feared his accuracy. And then there is Nikola Tesla, the man who handed the 20th century its toolbox: alternating current, wireless communication, remote control. He died alone in a hotel room, in debt, talking to a pigeon he claimed to love. The world ran on his mind, but it couldn't stand his presence, because his mind was a comet, and comets don't move in the tidy, predictable orbits that make planets feel secure. Schopenhauer knew this fate intimately. When he published his masterpiece, The World as Will and Representation, in 1818, it landed with the thud of absolute indifference. He was so confident in his ideas that he scheduled his university lectures at the exact same time as the superstar philosopher Hegel, hoping to draw a crowd. He lectured to an empty room. But he didn't break. He waited. In the preface to the second edition, decades later, he wrote, "Not to my contemporaries, not to my compatriots, to mankind I commit my now completed work." He understood that his audience hadn't been born yet. He was speaking to the future because the present was too deaf to hear him. Let's look at your life. Social media feeds are not designed to find truth. They are designed to trigger you. The algorithm doesn't reward complexity. It rewards rage. It rewards certainty. It rewards the simple, comforting lie over the nuanced, uncomfortable fact. The machine we have built amplifies the very immune response Schopenhauer described. It doesn't just tolerate mediocrity, it optimizes for it. The algorithm doesn't hate you. It just hates what you know. This creates a strange, heavy loneliness. Schopenhauer quoted Aristotle on this. Men distinguished in philosophy, politics, poetry, or art appear to be all of a melancholy temperament. Not because sadness is a badge of honor, but because when you strip away the illusions that make daily life bearable for most people, you are left staring at the bare machinery of existence. You see the suffering, you see the performance, you see the desperate need for validation that drives everyone around you. And that sight is a gift, but it is a heavy one. It is the price of admission to the real. So what do? If the room is designed to reject you, do you stop thinking? Do you dumb yourself down to be liked? Schopenhauer's answer was a firm, defiant no, but he offered a strategy, not a complaint. First, stop trying to win the room you're in. The deepest thinkers' most common error is exhausting themselves trying to translate their vision for people who have voluntarily shut their eyes. Schopenhauer wrote for posterity. He accepted that his validation would come from the dead, Plato, Kant, and the unborn. You must find your own long game. Second, learn to treat solitude as fuel, not punishment. For the person who thinks deeply, being alone isn't an absence of life, it's a different kind of presence. It's the space where your mind can stretch without bumping into walls of other people's assumptions. Most people flee solitude because it leaves them alone with their own emptiness. If you can sit in it and find it rich, that is not a social failure, that is a sign of inner wealth. Third, build a bridge to your actual tribe. They are not the people in your zip code. They are not your coworkers. They are the minds who speak your language, even if they lived centuries ago. They are in books. They are in the quiet corners of the internet where real conversation hasn't been replaced by performance. Your community is a signal, not a location. Find it. And finally, and this is the hardest part, stop interpreting rejection as a report card on your worth. When a system rejects a component that is too advanced for it, that is not a verdict on the component, it is a verdict on the system's capacity. Socrates' cup of hemlock was not a sign that he was foolish, it was a sign that Athens could not handle a mind that asked, why? You may be in a similar position. You may be the comet, and they may be the planets, locked in their ancient, comfortable circles. Comets do not apologize for their trajectory, they blaze. And eventually, sometimes long after they have passed, people look up and realize they witnessed something extraordinary. You don't need everyone to understand you today. You need to stop apologizing for how far ahead you can see. If this resonated, if it felt like a key turning in a lock you didn't know you had, share it with someone else who needs to hear it. And if you want to keep exploring the uncomfortable truths about why we think, feel, and fail the way we do, you are in the right place. This channel isn't about easy motivation. It's about the real work of understanding the architecture of the human mind, through philosophy, psychology, and the thinkers brave enough to tell the truth. If that's your language, hit subscribe. Not because we need the number, but because you already know that most of YouTube isn't built for how you think. This one is. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and come back, because the next descent goes even deeper.